Hi everyone, I'm here getting ready to go into just your regular ordinary supermarket to do some shopping for a Thanksgiving or holiday kind of meal. So it's not as important what the supermarket is, it's more the kinds of options that you are interested in. And of course, when we're thinking about a celebratory meal, we're thinking about special foods. So I kind of want to give you some ideas about what you could be looking for and alternatives so that you're not stuck when you want to have something special and your favorite special thing might be high oxalate. So we're going to do a bit of a tour through the various departments. I'm going to show you some fun options, I'm hoping, and give you a whole new way to think about your holiday season. So let's go. Thanksgiving and Christmas are almost nothing without potatoes. The problem with most potatoes is that they're high oxalate. So while you can look for a red-skinned, white-fleshed new potato as one of your better options, we can also dilute your potatoes with something else like cauliflower if you're making a mash. Use other vegetables if you're making something like scallop potatoes. So maybe use scallop potatoes with rutabaga and use separate slices of each in your dish. But you can also use canned potatoes. So interestingly enough, we found that canned potatoes have an opportunity to lose oxalate into that canning fluid. And if you want to get rid of that canned taste, I have a trick for you. So you take your canned potatoes, drain all the liquid off them. Use fresh water, a little bit of salt, and boil them again. You can then use those potatoes for a hash, for frying in a pan to make them nice and crispy, or any other application that you would use a cooked potato for, and they work like a charm. There are so many more options at the store than you think. One that you may not be used to buying as much be rutabaga. Very low oxalate. Can be used in a lot of ways. Baked. You can use this as a scalloped vegetable. You can boil it. You can roast it. Rutabaga is really flexible in terms of how you work with it. But the thing that's nice about it is it's really low oxalate and it's generally available year-round. So a great option. But for our Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday kind of use, things like squashes, hard squashes instead of sweet potato. A fraction of the oxalate here, and virtually any kind of squash you happen to find, hopefully one looks better than this, will be low to medium oxalate. It's always going to be a much better option than anything like sweet potato. Cinnamon. Unfortunately, a flavor of the season, equally unfortunately, high oxalate. This is one where we want to use an alternative. Cinnamon extract would be good. You can get it dry or liquid. You definitely don't want to use whole cinnamon. However, you can use cinnamon sticks where you put them in, you cook your food, and you take the stick out. So the oxalate remains behind in the cinnamon stick. So the problem with ground cinnamon is you're taking that cinnamon stick and you're grinding it, you're putting it into your food whole. What we want is to get the flavor, not get the oxalate. You can put a cinnamon stick in and take it out, you're good. If you like the flavor of almond extract, even though it comes from almond, it's actually low. And that's going to be the same with any of these extracts. So lemon is obviously okay, vanilla is okay, but almond extract's okay as well. You can also use, almond extract in whatever brand that you want. They're all fairly similar. And if we were to see something here like a cinnamon extract, which I don't see, but that would also be okay. This is a coconut extract, fine. So the pattern in the oxalate data shows that if you buy something as an extract, it is always going to be just a fraction of the oxalate that's in the original. So where you can get extracts, that's what you want to use. Typical vegetables for Thanksgiving. We have lots of options right here, and for sure what people need to think about is basics are often quite good. So a great idea can be small peas. You boil these, they're very low oxalate. A great way to add the green into your meal. And I know these are medium oxalate, and there may be people worried about eating them. It's about serving size. So if you wanted to do a lovely, decadent, roasted Brussel sprouts drizzled with maple syrup for a Thanksgiving kind of meal, you can do that. Just keep in mind that it's a smaller serving of this than something like your peas. The other thing that many people enjoy would be various dishes made with corn. The great news about niblet corn, this kind of corn that's frozen or that you would find in a can, is that particular variety of corn is low oxalate. So can you have this? Yes, you can. Are other corn products a little more complicated? Yes, they can be. Not this. So whole corn is in your good for you list. Hopefully you're in a place where you can get things like butternut squash, frozen, simple, easy to make. And again, you can roast this if you like, even from the frozen. Great for soup. And so around our house, soup is often part of celebration meals in the wintertime. This is the kind of thing that you can use for soup, simply to use when it's frozen. The other good news, if you combine potatoes with cauliflower, you can have a potato dish, even like a mashed potato, and you can have that and it'll be lower oxalate. Here's the trick. You take your potatoes, peel them, dice them in a fairly small dice, boil. While you're boiling your potatoes, you can be doing something like steaming cauliflower on the top of a double boiler. When you're ready to make your mashed potatoes, drain your potatoes, do all the things you would normally do, add about half the volume of potatoes and half the volume of cauliflower. So half and half is what I'm trying to say. And when you do that, you drop your oxalate way down. So then you can have the mashed potatoes that you want, and you're not getting all the oxalate that you don't want. Interestingly enough, cauliflower, the taste kind of disappears in the potatoes. You get the creaminess, you get the loveliness. Add your butter, add your milk if you can. And for those of you who have to go dairy-free, what at least you'll find is that this is going to give you the taste of potatoes, but not give you the oxalate of potatoes. So when it comes to holiday kind of food, you're usually looking at something rich and creamy and yummy and unusual. And for a lot of people, they're not going to do well with dairy. Dairy is not going to be their friend. You've got options like an organic coconut whipping cream. So this is going to give you an opportunity to be able to have something that's got that creaminess, but it's not going to have a lot of oxalate. It's also not going to be dairy if dairy is part of your problem. If you are looking at a whole wall of non-dairy milk alternatives, it may be a little overwhelming. Where do you focus? So what I would say is, for sure avoid almond. I would generally avoid oat just because they add things that may up the oxalate. And I would move towards things like coconut milk. Again, coconut tends to be low, so this tends to be a good option. Look for the kinds of additions that they have in with it. In this case, all we have is organic coconut water, organic coconut cream, and then something called gel and gum as the last ingredient. While there might be a little bit of oxalate in the gel and gum, everything else here should be low. So this is a really good option for a non-dairy milk. Every once in a while you'll find something that's new. This is not one I'm familiar with. It talks about herbs and oats. It is an oat beverage. And interestingly enough, doesn't look that bad, but there's a lot of ingredients here. As soon as you see a whole paragraph of ingredients, the problem there is figuring out how much oxalate might be present. When in doubt, I would leave it. Flax milk tends to be a really good option, especially where your main ingredients are water and milled flaxseed. This would be the kind of thing where you would be able to use this as a non-dairy alternative, and what I like about flax is it tends to be a little bit creamier often than some of the other kinds of non-dairy alternatives. And I have worked with this Elmhurst brand, so I'm going to pull this off the shelf. It's a little more expensive, but I actually really like the milked walnuts. The ingredients in here are filtered water and walnuts. That's it. Now, walnuts are a medium oxalate nut, but you're leaving most of the structure of the nut behind. So I would assume that this is fairly low in oxalate, and it's going to be a more nutritious option than a lot of these highly processed things. This is about as straightforward as a nut or seed milk could get. All right, so this is actually new on the shelves. It's not something I've used before, but it's got a chickpea base, and chickpeas are also really low in oxalate, generally speaking. I'm fairly impressed by the ingredients because we're starting out with what they call a high protein blend. Now this is a vegetarian or vegan blend, which is organic chickpea and a pea protein base. But then they've got organic virgin flaxseed oil. They've got natural flavors. They can hide things there, but a vitamin blend. So you're getting some calcium, you're getting some B vitamin and some vitamin D, and then monk fruit juice concentrate to provide some sweetening. They do have this in more than one version. I don't see an unsweetened one, but this might be a good thing to try. If you're making things like a cake or other things where you need some liquid and you want to add some nutrition with that liquid as opposed to just some kind of non-dairy milk, a thing like this where they've tried to put some smarts into it could be a really good option. For those of you who have not seen my son Michael in previous videos,
hello.
This is one of the 2 young adults who have been raised by me and have learned about a low oxalate diet. We might be doing some conversations from time to time in order to kind of be able to set the stage for why I think the way I think and why certain products might be better than others. So with that in mind, we are also going to look at these lovely things, Ladyfingers. The contents here are eggs, sugar, cornstarch, rice flour. These are absolutely low oxalate. I have not done a hack of a tiramisu recipe, but perhaps I need to.
I love tiramisu. It's good.
Exactly.
Decent.
One of the things we can do when we're looking at a product is to check the ingredients and see if the ingredients look low oxalate. Here's a great example where this would be a pretty low oxalate option. We've got rice flour, some palm oil shortening, potato starch, which is very low. So we're now down to rice flour, palm oil, water, potato starch. We're down to ingredient number 5 before we hit something that's medium oxalate, which is tapioca starch. And it's going to be a much smaller component of this food because things are listed in ingredients in the order in which they are part of the recipe. So that's a much smaller component. So the great news here is that this should work perfectly for your holiday pie. It's worthwhile checking an ingredient list before you say no about something. Sometimes you might find something perfect that's new on the shelves you haven't noticed before. This is a great option. If you're looking for how to do that special little bit of richness, I'm trying to say, to your treats, instead of the more traditional, you're looking at the milk chocolate, or maybe you're looking at the bittersweet or dark chocolate, if we can consider white chocolate as our alternative. What this does is give you the creaminess, give you the ability to dip cookies and maybe put a nice little shell on them, but do it with a low oxalate alternative. So thinking white chocolate instead of other kinds of chocolate can be really helpful. Or you might even want to mix some white chocolate with some milk chocolate here. The advantage of mixing these is, let's say you melted some of this milk chocolate, some of this white chocolate, maybe you put stripes on your cookie instead. So you get a little bit of this milk chocolate taste, but you're not getting a lot of oxalate because you're not using 100% of the milk chocolate. For sure, when you get to 70% or higher cacao in a chocolate, you're getting into way too much oxalate in a very small dose. So it's really hard to do that, but milk and white chocolate should be very doable for your treats. The other thing you can look at, which I sometimes do, is buy a chocolate which has some sort of filling, in this case a salted caramel filling. Caramel is almost zero oxalate again. So you're not getting 100% of the chocolate. You're getting chocolate with caramel. That may allow you to have, again, some of that chocolate taste, but do it in a way where you're not getting 100% of the oxalate you would get in a similar serving of just chocolate. These are Smart Sweets. This is their caramel. It is made with coconut cream, and so this is 100% dairy-free, and I would call it low oxalate. So although it's not been tested, I think this is a good option, just based on the ingredient list. So another option for those of you who want to stay low oxalate but can't do the dairy that's in conventional chocolate. Okay, so we've made it through the grocery store, but we missed a couple aisles. So just in case you're wondering, any whole animal product, so meat, fish, eggs, dairy, will be low oxalate. Your lowest oxalate items there are always going to be meat products, egg products, seafood, but only if it hasn't been processed. So if it's been processed and you've got additives like spices or other things, that can mean higher oxalate. So the meat aisle and the dairy aisles are generally your friends, but please don't overdo things that have been processed. Go for whole single ingredient foods. As well, we probably didn't spend as much time in either the fruit or the veggie section, but the store was a little busy today. You do have lots of options. And if you want more information on what to cook, how to cook, recipes, you can find me on Patreon. That's patreon.com. I'm there as Low Ox Coach. And I post all kinds of recipes. I hack recipes for people if they have suggestions. And we have lots of options there for holiday food. Where we have some recipes that apply to today's video, if people are interested, I will be happy to give links to individual locations at the Patreon site where those things might be found. And even if you're not a member, you can buy some of those for your own use. So you might want to check us out there. And when in doubt, if you are thinking about lowering your oxalate, go slowly and go carefully. This is not a sprint. This is the kind of thing that you want to take your time with. If you liked this kind of video material where I went through a store and gave you some ideas about things, like, share, comment below, let me know that you would enjoy more of this kind of content and we'll do more. And to everyone out there who's celebrating, enjoy your holiday and I'll see you soon.